leave a piece of myself behind. I am hoping you will find it in your heart to love me. I look into you. I want you to see me. I want you to know. It might seem unseemly, but I am here. Oh yes, I am here. And I'm not going anywhere. Unspeakable. Small and severe are my feelings. I will stay near. I will keep you up. I will keep you up. And I'm not going anywhere. I walked into your door last night. Leave a piece of myself behind. I am hoping you will find it in your heart to love me. I walked into your door last night. I don't care if it's wrong or right. I am hoping you will find it in your heart to love me. Are you alone? Are you sitting there with nobody home? Can I come by? Oh, never mind. Oh, no, never mind. You know I'm already here. I look at you. I want you to see me. I want you to know. It might seem unseemly, but I am here. I'm already here. And I'm not going anywhere. I broke into your cold last night. I broke into your cold last night. I broke into your cold last night. Leave a piece of myself behind. I am hoping you will find it in your heart to love me. I broke into your cold last night. I don't care if it's wrong or right. I am hoping you will find it in your heart to love me. I broke into your car last night to leave a piece of myself behind. I am hoping you will find it.
That is brand new music from Bif Naked, who joins us now. I broke into your car last night. Bif, I got to say, one of the things that I love so much about you, and there are many, but when I listen to a Bif Naked album, I'm not going to be listening to the same song over and over and over again. There's so many different textures, so many different sounds. As soon as I heard this, I'm like, Bif, I love it. It is so different than the
Okay, I'm
last.
so happy. Yay. Yeah, this is nothing like, just like Jim last year we put out, this is nothing like anything else on the record. That we're Champion is going to be, as I guess, eclectic as all of my other records are. So I'm excited about it.
You know, the one thing that really hit home with me, with the new single in particular, is the statement, the fun of it, right? You know, it's a love song, but it's a love song with one heck of a twist. And you know, throughout your career, you've sort of broken down barriers here and there, as an advocate for things like sexuality, for mental health. I wonder, when you were writing this song, did you realize you were writing a tune now, you know, with all the barriers that female artists have overcome, you were writing a song that a guy couldn't write nowadays?
Definitely. I am always aware that if it was a dude singing this song, it would be stalking. It would be a crime. It would be a felony. And you know, technically it's still criminal behavior, but at the same time, yeah, it's metaphoric. You know, it's basically the vision of the song. You know, the visualization anyway that we had was, you know, if you could sit in the car that belongs to your crush and you could sit in the back seat and take Polaroids of yourself and send them to him, or leave them all over the car, or this type of thing. Or yeah, take selfies in the back of their car. That was basically what the idea was.
Biff, we've talked to a number of songwriters over the last little while about how they get into the whole process of writing songs. And one thing I haven't asked about yet to any of these artists, and I'll ask you, is it common to be just shooting it with one of your friends, just having a talk or watching the news or doing something, and you just go, "Oh my God, that would make an awesome song," and then you kind of write a song around just something like.
Oh, for me as a lyricist, I've always really liked, yeah, things that strike me. Like I remember at one time, I wrote a song about being the dog, and then my crush was the master, and that I always felt like I was just chained up in the yard, just waiting for crumbs, basically. And so the whole song was about I was the dog, basically. And I think that it's just it works because it's poetry. Lyrics are poetry anyway. They're a form of poetry, and yeah, using metaphors has you can find them anywhere. You can find them in the news. You can find them reading. You can find them just talking to you. Between you and I in a conversation. You could go, "Oh, I like that. I like that word that we had, serendipity," or "I like that word that we had, violence," or "hysteria," or like whatever, and write a song around it.
Has COVID been inspiring you as an artist at all?
Yeah, for sure. I think that you know, we're working on this song right now. That's a thrash song. It's a thrash metal song.
Love it.
And it's a bit it's a bit like it started out as a bit of a stay away from me style song, which is so prevalent in rock music. The lone wolf type of song. But really, COVID does play a part, because it is kind of directed at people who you want to stay away from you, like people who perhaps don't follow the rules. You. Yeah, and COVID definitely it's been a very isolating year for us as artists, but generally as people in general. It's just this weird kind of isolating thing. I don't live alone, but if I did, it would definitely be much worse. I know that, for example, my sister is a single mom. So, those two being my niece and my sister being isolated is very different from, me with my, adult husband being isolated. It's very different. You miss conversations. You miss the simple things like commuting to work. Literally, if you're a shy person and your only interaction in a day really is the bus driver and the person where you get your coffee from at noon, even if you don't have what would seem like meaningful exchanges with those people, it's still, you're going to find a void. And it's, there's always going to be this simmering undercurrent of loneliness that is going to start to permeate your life. And I think that's what people have discovered.
There's a person that you and I have as a mutual friend, and I think about him all the time during COVID because, like, yeah, I have my wife and my son and my pets, and you have your husband, your doggy, and Tom, you've got your wife and kids. Our friend Andrew Nielsen is so lonely right now, and I see him post pictures of himself, and his really good friend Todd would be able to come and kind of see him through the glass once in a while. But oh man, like my heart just goes out to someone like Andrew.
Absolutely. It's very isolating. It's much harder for anyone who is isolated to begin with. And then add COVID, we're not allowed to go and visit. We're not allowed to. And that happens for a lot of people if you have a position where you're a volunteer, for example, hospital volunteers, greeters, all this type of thing. You're not allowed to. It's gone. Those programs had to end. And they were very beneficial for people. It's just very, it's unbelievable how things are right now. And so it's hard for me to, I guess, understand and accept people who don't want to, I guess, play by the rules, because we have to see it through. It has to come to an end, and it's not going to.
Mhm.
unless everybody kind of works together in a public health way. Like it's just really simple. It's not even about science versus anything else. It's just really simple. We just want to be able to get back to volunteering, get back to doing our visits for people in um, just nursing homes or assisted living, anything like that. And don't get me started about jail. It's
Mm.
just everything. It's just an awful time in our history.
Yeah, it's you bring up a lot of stuff that really touches on the fringes of mental health. And here in Canada, we just had a big day that's just passed us, which is Bell Let's Talk. And for me, I'm a mental health advocate. I had a really severe battle myself for years. And I found Bell Let's Talk probably more difficult this year than I've always kind of liked it, to be honest, because it's a lot of people just putting out good messages and having conversations that we should be having. But this year, I couldn't help but think of things like, um, you know, we don't even know how many Canadians did lose their lives to mental illness, to addiction last year. We haven't counted yet. We know how many people died of COVID yesterday, but we
That's
haven't
right.
bothered to count in 2020. If as a mental health advocate, are you staying back, or are there things that you're involved in right now to try and keep pushing that forward? Like, are you seeing the same things that I am seeing, the same sort of frustration that it seems to be sort of pushed back at our own peril, or is there hope? Are there people out there doing amazing things?
Well, I mean, things like Bell Let's Talk Day are great because they do give people who normally wouldn't say anything, they give them an excuse or something to frame it in. And so it does empower people to do that because it's within the context of a social little movement that happens once a year. There's a lot of criticism, obviously, for things like that, for events and online events like that, because yeah, people get frustrated. They say the rest of the year, 364 other days of the year, people are having suicidal ideology, people are suffering, they're struggling, and nobody says a peep about it. All you can do is hope that that one day that one person shared their Bell Let's Talk, motivational saying, that it sparked something within them, that they will keep going and reach out to their friends or estranged family members, and keep it going. The same goes for, I mean, it's the same like food banks, for example. So there are a lot of critics of food banks across the country saying that food banks shouldn't have to be used. They shouldn't be there. They shouldn't exist. The government should just simply help people more thoroughly, more funding, raise the rates, all these things. But unfortunately, and it's not that that's not true. Absolutely, it's true. There needs to be more funding. The rates do need to be raised. It's just archaic what people are expected to live on, especially, I mean, especially if you are on disability, especially, with ODSP. And I came here from BC. So in BC, there are equally as many issues. And here in Ontario, it's very different. The population is even bigger. And the government has a big job, and they're not really doing it very well. So there's going to be a lot of critics. But unfortunately, food banks, yeah, they're okay. You can sit there and say they shouldn't be needed. Okay, fair enough.
Mhm.
But unfortunately, there's still a mother of three that relies on going there every day. And without that food bank, I'm sorry, she is left not being able to feed her kids. So what is going to be the solution here? There's so many things that we can do better in our society. We have to be advocates. Okay, so we're stuck at home. Stay at home order notwithstanding, what can we do? Yeah, unfortunately and fortunately, people have to be armchair activists right now. They have to be, and they have to spread the word. They have to spread positive messaging and get links and websites out there. Maybe one person will click on that link and donate to an organization that you've shared about. And that can't be a bad thing. It cannot be a bad thing to share those things. So I think anybody who wants to help and wants to be more helpful just in a public health way or in society. It's easy to do. Everyone's online. Share links. Like everybody's online. Just share links. That's it.
I even find Biff from an anxiety sufferer myself and someone who was at the point where I just had overload of news updates. And I decided that, okay, because I'm on social media a lot for work purposes. So I said, you know what? I'm not going to follow any of the news channels anymore. I'm blocking Donald Trump so I don't even see a retweet from him. And I wake up every morning and the first thing I see on Twitter is namaste from you and a beautiful little thing that just puts me in a good spirit. So
Oh,
the
good.
but so all I'm saying is that it's so simple. It does not take a lot for anybody that's watching to brighten someone's day just by writing something nice about them, about the world, about something. Because
It's totally nuts. Really, it is overwhelming. You don't have to be an anxiety sufferer to suffer from anxiety just from a news feed.
Mhm.
There is a lot of stuff going on in the world, and a lot of it is just astonishing how awful it is. And people, yeah, people are very polarized, people are divided, people have no problem uh, talking shit and spewing hate and saying terrible things to other people, especially online, because again, that's where everyone is right now. That's where everyone lives. So, I mean, what can you do? You can sit there and say, well, take it with a grain of salt and, water off a duck's back. Don't let it bother you, all this stuff. But it does. And it does get in there. And I find the same thing with animal cruelty stuff. I cannot read too many stories about, a dog that was found in a dumpster, a dog thrown in a ditch, a cat that was burned, cows that are like kicked around, like all this stuff. I literally have to log off and take a social media day off because I will just get overwhelmed and it gets, I can't even fake happy. I can't even fake it for my job. My job is like being positive, honestly. It's like Little Miss PMA, and that's cool. And I like it. But on the days when I cannot bring the PMA, I simply don't log on.
Do you ever feel that, you know, it's almost going against the grain being that happy? Your Instagram feed, I'll bring up, for example, because I'm a big Instagram guy. And if you look at my feed, you know, it's that positivity out into the world. And that's all I can think of sometimes. But I'm going to put an image out or just a little riff out there that hopefully will bring a smile to someone's face. So when I see your account and I see you doing that same thing, it's amazing. And it just as Barry says it quite often, that namaste and the skyline there, it's a good smile on my face. Does it ever feel like you're like even that in this day and age is an act of rebellion, just being happy and putting out positivity?
Oh, 100%. And there's a lot of people that talk about toxic positivity. And, there is a huge percent of the population, whether they are spiritually inclined or not, they believe that being too positive is toxic. And then they'll list, here's why this is toxic, or they'll call it toxic positivity. And I read that with great interest because I obviously think, oh no, I hope nobody thinks that my positivity is toxic. And then eventually I have to just go, fuck it. You know what? I actually don't care if anybody thinks that I'm being toxic if I'm too positive for them. That's okay. That is okay with me. Because as long as my mom laughs at my post, or my sister, or like you guys that have a smile, then that's cool. I can't worry about my being positive or bringing the PMA, which is like, I mean, the old punks that we looked up to were like PMA all the way. They were straight edge, they were Krishna punks, they were positive mental attitude, and it was motivating for us. We were like, losers with cracked skateboards on welfare. We needed to have our heroes talk about PMA and positive mental attitude. So, now in 2021, if anyone thinks that positivity is toxic, all I can do is go, no has a sad. Like, okay, like there's nothing you can do about that. You can just go, okay, I'm gonna just keep on my path, because that's all I can do is just do my path. I can only just be myself.
And that sounds a lot like what a music artist should take as far as a mindset goes, because you put out a new song. Some people are going to say this is the best Bif Naked song I've ever heard. Some people would say, why isn't she rocking? And the thing is, as an artist, you can't worry about that, right? You're Bif Naked. You write what you write. You record what you record. And if somebody loves it and gets motivated, awesome. If somebody says it's the worst piece of shit they've ever heard, good. Then listen to something else.
That's right. Yeah, and that's been from the beginning. Since the first record I put out in 1994. I've had to kind of steady myself against that kind of critique, and that's cool, because it can't be for everybody, and that's okay. It has to be.
That's another great point you bring up. It's a question that we've asked a lot of artists that we've had on the show is, how the industry's changed over the last few years. And I've actually been dying to ask you this because you've always done things your own way. You had your own label, as labels kind of fell by the wayside as we went, into the 2000s, and they did less and less for artists. The landscape for a lot of people has changed, but your landscape was always a step to the left, I think, of what a lot of people were doing in the mainstream. So I would love to hear your perspective on the music industry right now. Like, you've got an album coming out, you're getting ready to share it. How has the COVID world changed what you're doing to get your stuff out?
Well, our record was ready last year. And so when we put Jim out on Valentine's Day, we were intending to follow it up with Broke Into Your Car last May. And we had a showcase planned through Canadian Music Week and all this other stuff. And as the pandemic started to unfold, it just seemed really I just didn't feel my record and my song was important. Period, the end. And it wasn't like self-deprecating. I felt like, I'm not feeling like this is a time where I want to sit there talking about my stupid record when people are starting to die all over the world. So things became more relevant to me. And then, of course, we had social uprising, racial reckonings, and a lot of change was very needed and started happening, especially for us here in North America. What we were experiencing last summer, there was no way that I felt like putting out a record. It just wasn't as important as these movements that were happening. So I just decided not to do it. It was just like, I'm more interested in what's happening in the world. I think it's more important than my songs, really and truly. So this year, we had in December, we had a streaming show that was planned, and we were going to drop as a surprise Broke Into Your Car during this show. And of course, the lockdown kind of started on Boxing Day. Our show was December 30th, so it had to be postponed anyway. But I just thought, let's put it out on New Year's. Let's just put it out there. I want to share the song. We've been sitting on it, and there's a third single that has been planned for a year that I'm still waiting on, because I want to do this really specific video for it. And it's just trying to ride the wave and trying to find a time where, for me, it felt, I guess, relevant in a way to what I was feeling in the day. And so it's nice to be able to finally put this song out. Champion, we didn't really plan on releasing the entire record until the third single. So whenever that happens is when the record will be released. And that's part of the joy of not being held to a schedule, having my own label, And the reason I formed my own label in 1994 was because I had to. There was no Canadian label that would sign me. And in fact, you know, I'm not going to sit here and go through the whole story, but my manager was told in 1994 I would never get on the radio. And he was given some advice by a CEO from a Canadian record label that said, you know, you really shouldn't be working with this tattooed girl. Uh, it's really a waste of your time. She's never going to get on the radio. You know, there's no way this kid will ever do anything. So just don't bother. And he became angry and motivated by that. and, and we formed a record label and just went overseas and worked out of Europe for a long time, and then came back to Canada. And as they say, the rest is history. But I say that to young artists all the time. Just keep on your path. Do what you do. You know, eventually you're going to be happy about it. It's not even like eventually someone will discover you. Who cares? You know, and right now there's no better time. Because anyone can discover you. Anybody at all can discover you on these platforms like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. Anybody in the world. So just keep at it.
That's wonderful. I want to get back a little bit into the whole songwriting process for a bit, because you mentioned that you've got another song you're working on that's kind of thrash, and we know the punk sound, and then the sound of this song. When you are starting to go through the process of writing the song, you've got a lyric, maybe you've got a melody. Is there a time when it comes to you that this is the kind of sound I want this song to have? Because I mean, if you're a country singer, every song's going to be, the same three chords kind of thing, right? It's what you're writing. But when do you know where that song's going to go?
It really depends, And I write with Snake, my guitar player partner, and also with my longtime guitar player and co-writer Doug Fury. Um, and so writing with two guitar players is always a little bit funny, because if they had it their way, it would just be a death metal record. So finding the balance has been interesting. It's a lot of fun, and to have a different feel to each song, and you never really know, because the song just starts to evolve. We write every single song on acoustic guitar, so every song starts out exactly the same, with the guitar and a melody. And yeah, as it progresses, we think of other things, and we think of things that inspire us with the feeling. Like the one we're working on now is like really like early Metallica, and there's one that we have that is like, I always think, no, it's kind of like, remember how if we could mix Duran Duran with U2 from this year and have this kind of feel to it, and I like the drums from this Devo song, and I like the guitar from this Motorhead song, and we really kind of put it together like that. And so it's fun. We have a couple of these ballads.
Is that your dog down there that you're playing with?
Yeah, she just
Oh,
came
I
back
wanted
into this.
Bring her up. Let's see her.
She's come here. Come here. She's
Oh.
yeah. So she was rehomed to us when she was 4 months old, and now she's just over 9 months old. I wasn't planning to get a pupper. I had dogs for a long time, and my dogs finally passed away almost at 20 years of their life. They were very old dogs, and it killed me, and I never recovered from that loss. And so now I basically am a new mother again. And it's basically my husband is on the curb, and the dog takes like absolute runs the house. It's very funny.
Biff, we've talked about mental health. I also want to talk to you about the fact that you live a clean life now. Alcohol, drugs, all that. And a few weeks ago, we were talking to Kathy Valentine of the Go-Go's, and she talked about, yeah. Well, you should listen or watch the video of that. She was fantastic. She was talking about how during her days with the Go-Go's, it was alcohol, cocaine, alcohol, heroin. It was just like nonstop. But you're finding these days more and more of the musicians that were really into it heavily are becoming clean again. Do you see this hopefully maybe as a trend to younger artists now that we're seeing the damage that had been done from that over the years, that hopefully they won't make the same mistakes we did, or is that just naive of me?
It's hard to say. I mean, for me, I was very lucky to have a couple of mentors when I was a young musician who were straight edge. And that was a whole different thing than simply being sober. Being straight edge was like a real deliberate statement that I wanted to make at the time. And I knew because I was always I always call myself a one beer drunk. I knew that I just wouldn't be able to do my job if alcohol was involved. I wouldn't be able to, do 200 shows in a row on 2 hours of sleep every night. Period. The end. Like literally, I knew that because my physical body could not do it. If I had alcohol, I talk louder, I laugh too much, whatever the case, lose my voice. That was that was my original thinking. It wasn't really because it was part of a 12-step program. So, fast forward to now, I don't know, 30, almost 30 years later, when I work with young artists, I always let them be themselves because for the most part, I'm sure, um, people are going to do what they do, regardless of what we say, but by just being, maybe they'll see that as an example. I've never told any, like my husband is not a straight edge by any means. He likes red wine and that's cool. That's his deal. I've never hawked him about it. I never would hawk him about it. And my band has always drank uh, loads, and that's their thing. And they're jovial and fine and fun. And of course, I get to just be the designated driver all the time, so it works out for them, of course. But I think that it's if anyone wants to get clean or get sober, especially as an artist moving forward in this day and age, if they didn't weren't previously sober, I always think it's a blessing in their life, and it's going to enhance their art because it'll enhance their ability to be healthy. And when we're healthy, we're clear and we're creative, and it'll probably improve their life.
Bringing up young artists, is there anybody you're listening to right now that's brightening your life at all?
Oh, sure. I work with Dylan Gray, who is a Toronto artist. And Dylan is the real deal. Enormously talented, funny, bright, beautiful, and such a soulful writer. Her writing is a lot like, I always say it's a lot like mine. I totally, I get Dylan. I like the way she writes. I love the songs that she writes, and her voice is unparalleled. I can't sing like Dylan. I wish I could, but I can't.
You sing like you, Biff. You sing like. There's an artist that Tom and I know personally, and I think I may have introduced you to her a couple years ago when she was just starting out. She goes by the name of Villavin, and she rocks.
Oh,
And
yes.
she's fantastic. And I'll have to send you some of her latest stuff because she is really, really, really good. And I love seeing young people that can rock because you don't see a lot of it anymore. It's
Like,
like a lost art.
right.
It is, but especially here in Canada, it's like I don't know. I think that our population is not as big as America, where a lot of the popular stuff that we listen to in rock comes from. And yeah, there's so many, especially female artists here in Canada. Yeah, there's a lot of rocker girls that are really making inroads.
Biff, before we let you go, we talked about, the alcohol and the drugs, and then there's something that still can be a little bit confusing for some people, and that is cannabis. And, some people still say it's a drug, but it's an herb, and it's an herb that has helped number of people with their anxiety, including myself, including Tom. Can you just talk a little bit about the business that you have and your CBD company?
Well, cannabis is different than CBD. Obviously, cannabis is not against the law anymore in Canada. I have a lot of opinions on how they've kind of rolled out cannabis in Canada and stuff like that. They do the best they can. And the truth is that cannabis, for centuries and centuries, it has been used for pain management and for spiritual and cultural growth. And, here we are in 2021, it is not against the law in Canada, which is fantastic. CBD or, a lot of oils or other things that are health supplements, and it is a health supplement and it should not fall under the Cannabis Act, but it does in Canada. So that's a whole other argument that I have. I have a lot to say. But the thing about CBD is it will help people. It enhances your health. It helps everything for a person. It helps pets. It helps seniors. It can help young people. It helps with anxiety. It can help. It can be utilized in harm reduction, in helping people get off harmful substances. It can help you sleep better at night. It can help you, communicate better. It can help your skin. You can use it topically. It'll help you with
I use
headaches.
it in my hair, by the way. I have
Oh,
a
very interesting. Yes, very interesting. The product that I have and work with is Mona Lisa Healing. And Mona Lisa Healing is, I feel, a superior product to a lot of the other products that are out there. Unfortunately, as the internet goes, which everyone knows, you can order anything off the internet. Like other things that are like illegal drugs even. You don't know where it's from, you don't know where it's made. You don't really know if somebody's being truthful about the ingredients or the process they used to derive the ingredients. Ours is cruelty-free. It's PETA certified in America, USDA organic. I don't know. I can't, I'm glad you asked me. This is our.
Well, that's good. We're going to put your website up for
For
this.
this.
Oh,
Yes,
thank
if
you.
there-
Thank you very much.
Right.
Yeah, it's
So everyone watching will see it. But those who are listening and aren't watching, what's the website? Where can they get more information, Biff?
so MonaLisaHealing.com. That's the only address you need. That's all you need to know. And explore. There's lots of different questions answered. You can ask questions and stuff about the products, and hopefully, all I can do is hope that Health Canada will eventually take it up where we can be a food supplement and not stuck in the Cannabis Act. Obviously during this time of COVID, there are a lot of bigger problems and issues. However, I, of course, believe that CBD supplementation would help people no matter what is going on in the world. It will help you with everything. Everything.
Yeah, no, I would agree with you. We've got a lot of things to prioritize, but something like getting legislation which could be reflective of getting proper quality product out to this industry, it is something that helps people. I started using cannabis and it replaced clonazepam for me.
Amazing.
And if I was still using clonazepam, I don't think I wouldn't be doing as well as I am today, right? So it has the ability to help people. And there are great companies like yourselves out there doing this stuff and making this stuff. And I think we should work a little bit harder to make it easier for Canadians to get it.
That's right. Amen.